August 15, 2021, marked a grim turning point in Afghanistan's history. After 2 decades of war, the Taliban, a militant group ousted from power by a US-led invasion in 2001, swept back into Kabul. The Afghan government, propped up by the West for years, crumbled. The speed of the Taliban's advance shocked the world. It exposed the fragility of the Afghan state and the failure of international efforts to build a stable, democratic nation. The images from that day are seared into our collective memory. Helicopters ferried US embassy personnel to safety as panicked crowds stormed the airport. The Taliban, once a shadowy insurgency, were now back in control, their black and white flags flying over government buildings. The world watched in disbelief, questioning what the future held for Afghanistan and its people. The fall of Kabul had profound implications. It signaled the end of America's longest war, a conflict that cost trillions of dollars and thousands of lives. It also raised serious questions about the credibility of US foreign policy and its commitment to its allies. The Biden administration faced fierce criticism for its handling of the withdrawal, with many accusing the president of betraying the Afghan people. The Kabul airport became the epicenter of a desperate exodus in the days following the Taliban takeover. Tens of thousands of Afghans, fearing for their lives under Taliban rule, converged on the airport, hoping for a flight out. The scenes were chaotic and heartbreaking. Families were separated in the crush, gunfire rang out, people clung to departing planes, desperate to escape. The US military, tasked with securing the airport and evacuating American citizens and Afghan allies, found itself overwhelmed by the sheer number of people seeking to flee. The Biden administration faced a barrage of criticism for its handling of the evacuation, with many accusing the president of failing to anticipate the chaos. The administration, in turn, defended its actions, arguing that the speed of the Taliban's takeover had caught everyone off guard. Amid the chaos and desperation, a glimmer of hope emerged. Veterans groups, aid organizations, and ordinary citizens from around the world mobilized to help evacuate Afghans who had worked with US forces and were at particular risk of Taliban reprisals. These groups chartered flights, raised funds, and navigated bureaucratic hurdles to get Afghans to safety. On August 26, 2021, the world watched in horror as a suicide bomber detonated himself at the Abbey Gate of Kabul's airport. The blast ripped through the crowd of Afghans desperately seeking to flee the country, killing an estimated 170 civilians and 13 US service members. The Islamic State Khorasan province, a sworn enemy of both the Taliban and the West, claimed responsibility for the attack. The bombing was a stark reminder of the dangers facing those trying to flee Afghanistan and the volatile security situation in the country. It also underscored the threat posed by ISKP, a group that had grown in strength in the chaos following the US withdrawal. The attack threw the already chaotic evacuation efforts into further disarray, as countries rushed to airlift their citizens and Afghan allies out of Kabul before it was too late. The Biden administration vowed to hunt down those responsible for the attack and launched airstrikes against suspected ISKP targets in Afghanistan. However, the attack raised serious questions about the administration's handling of the withdrawal and its ability to protect American citizens and interests in the region. The bombing also cast a long shadow over the evacuation effort, leaving many to wonder if they would ever truly escape the specter of violence and fear. Just days after the devastating suicide bombing at Kabul airport, tragedy struck again. On August 29, 2021, a US drone strike, targeting what the military believed to be an ISKP operative preparing for another attack, went tragically wrong. The strike killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. The Pentagon initially defended the strike, claiming it had disrupted an imminent threat. However, as evidence mounted that the strike had killed innocent civilians, the Pentagon was forced to admit its mistake. The admission sparked outrage and condemnation from around the world. It also raised serious questions about the rules of engagement for drone strikes and the potential for civilian casualties in such operations. The botched drone strike was a tragic reminder of the human cost of war and the devastating consequences of even the most well-intentioned military actions. It also underscored the challenges of conducting military operations in complex urban environments, where the line between combatants and civilians can be blurred. The incident further eroded public trust in the U.S. government and its handling of the war in Afghanistan. Section 5, Justice Delayed, Not Denied, the Capture of Sharifullah. In a significant development in February 2025, more than 3 years after the horrific Kabul airport bombing, a glimmer of hope for justice emerged. Pakistani authorities, acting on intelligence provided by the U.S., apprehended Mohammad Sharifullah, also known as Jafar, a senior ISKP planner believed to be a key figure in the attack. Sharifullah, who had a long history of involvement with extremist groups, had escaped from an Afghan prison during the Taliban takeover in 2021. His capture, a testament to the ongoing cooperation between U.S. and Pakistani intelligence agencies, marked a crucial step towards holding accountable those responsible for the deaths of so many innocent people. Sharifullah's arrest also highlighted the role of Pakistan, a country often accused of harboring terrorists, in combating terrorism and bringing perpetrators to justice. Sharifullah's capture offered a rare moment of unity and shared purpose for the U.S. and Pakistan, two countries whose relationship has often been strained. The arrest also provided a measure of solace to the families of the victims, who had long awaited justice for their loved ones. However, it also served as a stark reminder of the long reach of terrorist networks and the ongoing threat they pose to global security. Section 6. The Taliban's Claim Truth or Propaganda. In the aftermath of the Kabul airport bombing, the Taliban, eager to assert their authority and project an image of control, claimed to have killed the senior ISKP leader responsible for the attack. This claim, however, was met with skepticism from some quarters, who viewed it as an attempt by the Taliban to deflect blame and burnish their own image. Adding to the intrigue, the father of a U.S. Marine killed in the bombing revealed that he had been briefed by military officials in April 2023, confirming the Taliban's claim. This revelation further muddied the waters, raising questions about the timing and purpose of the Taliban's initial claim and the veracity of the information provided to the Marine's family. The Taliban's claim, whether true or not, underscored the complex web of actors operating in Afghanistan and the difficulty of discerning truth from propaganda in such a volatile environment. It also highlighted the ongoing threat posed by ISKP, even under Taliban rule, and the challenges the Taliban face in consolidating their power and ensuring security in a country riven by decades of conflict. Section 7. Political Fallout. A divided nation grapples with defeat. The chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan and the horrific bombing at Kabul airport triggered a wave of political fallout in the United States. The Biden administration, already facing criticism for its handling of the withdrawal, came under intense scrutiny, with many accusing the president of mishandling the situation and failing to anticipate the chaos. The bombing, with its tragic loss of American lives, further inflamed the debate, fueling partisan divisions and calls for accountability. The U.S. Central Command conducted a review of the bombing, concluding that the attack was not preventable. However, the review did little to quell the criticism, with some arguing that it failed to adequately address the intelligence failures and strategic miscalculations that contributed to the tragedy. The political fallout from the Afghanistan withdrawal extended far beyond the Biden administration, exposing deep divisions within American society about the country's role in the world and its commitment to its allies. The debate over Afghanistan became a microcosm of larger debates about American power, foreign intervention, and the limits of military force. Section 8. A Fragile Partnership, U.S.-Pakistan Relations in the Aftermath. The capture of Mohammad Sharifullah, the suspected Kabul airport bombing planner in Pakistan, presented a unique opportunity for the U.S. and Pakistan to mend their often strained relationship. President Trump, in announcing Sharifullah's arrest and extradition to the U.S., expressed gratitude for Pakistan's cooperation, acknowledging the country's role in counter-terrorism efforts. This recognition marked a departure from previous U.S. administrations, which often viewed Pakistan with suspicion, accusing it of harboring terrorists and playing a double game in the fight against extremism. The joint operation to apprehend Sharifullah suggested a potential thaw in relations, highlighting the shared interests and potential for cooperation between the two countries. Despite this positive development, significant challenges remain in the U.S.-Pakistan relationship. Mistrust runs deep on both sides, fueled by years of conflicting interests and differing approaches to regional security. The U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, which Pakistan viewed with concern, has further complicated the dynamic, leaving both countries navigating a complex and uncertain geopolitical landscape. Section 9. The Long Road Ahead. Afghanistan's Uncertain Future. 5 years after the Taliban's return to power, Afghanistan remains mired in a humanitarian crisis. The country's economy is in shambles, with millions facing hunger and poverty. The Taliban, despite initial promises of a more moderate rule, have imposed harsh restrictions on women's rights and freedoms, sparking international condemnation. The international community, grappling with the legacy of a failed intervention and the challenges of engaging with the Taliban, has struggled to find a coherent response to the crisis. While some countries have provided humanitarian aid, others have imposed sanctions, demanding that the Taliban improve their human rights record and form a more inclusive government. The road ahead for Afghanistan remains perilous and uncertain. The country faces a multitude of challenges, including a devastated economy, a resurgent insurgency, and a deeply divided society. The Taliban, facing internal divisions and external pressure, must decide whether to moderate their stance and seek international legitimacy, or risk further isolation and instability. The international community, for its part, must find a way to engage constructively with Afghanistan, balancing the need to hold the Taliban accountable with the imperative of alleviating the suffering of the Afghan people.